Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, March 20th. My name is Tyler. I serve on staff at Northwest Hills UMC as the Director of Youth and Digital Ministry. And I welcome you to this video, another in our series of Lenten reflections for the year 2023. Now, I have for you a poem written by Flora Tang, which I am accessing from the University of Notre Dame's website. I found this poem to be particularly fascinating and wanted to share it today. I would like to read it without much introduction to allow the poem to speak for itself. And afterward, there's going to be a little bit of description as well as some questions for you to meditate on as they relate to your Lenten journey and those I am also accessing from the website from the University of Notre Dame. Again, I'll post that link in the comments and in the video description so that you can find it for yourself if you want to keep this poem and read it another time. But I wanted to share that both the poem and the little reflection are coming from the Notre Dame website, so they are not original to me. The poem is titled The Land Between. And not only is that a fitting title for the poem, but it felt like a fitting exploration for us today on this day, which is both the first day of spring and a day in which I am wearing two jackets. So it also feels like we are sort of in a land between, caught between the promise of spring and the presence of winter. And so I share with you now this poem, The Land Between, written by Flora Tang. I'll take a moment of silence to allow us to prepare to hear these words. Now, I would invite you to close your eyes and relax and imagine this scene in front of you and see what sort of feelings and emotions this poem stirs to your mind. Only when you pass through the landmines, behind mesh fences, the barbed wire that slices through the heart of the rugged desert, do you arrive at the land between. The land of both and the land of none. A single paved path where you drag your baggage along. The land between the welcome goodbye and the goodbye welcome. Where some never reach the welcome because for some this land between leads them to a land they own but do not belong. Welcome for the fair-skinned foreigner with the baseball cap and hiker's backpack. Welcome for the righteous ones of us returning home. But it is the people between who forever belong to the land between. They who are a song with no music can only be heard in the land with no name. So you pace back and forth in this land with no name, where others are rushed through, but you must linger on. You stand up and sit down again on those cheap plastic waiting benches that already lost their shine in this narrow strip of land between a date palm and an olive tree, forever waiting. Waiting for the welcome that is yours. As you stare into this valley of the shadow of death, where each nameless grain of sand illuminates the brilliance of life, where you, too, your olive skin and your glistening tears, your loss and your piercing pain radiate God's luminous glory, whose weight you alone must bear. For the land between is a land of solitude, where the sojourner has none for company, whose crown of thorns none else can ever carry. For only when you pass through the mesh fences, which do not shield you from the landmines, the rugged desert whose heart bleeds from the piercing barbed wire, can you arrive at the land between. And now I'll read to you from the devotion at the bottom. In this poem, the author, again, whose name is Flora Tang, reflects on the experience of many travelers, particularly in the Middle East, waiting to pass through a border. Christians are a pilgrim people, also a people between the borders of birth and death, between the event of Christ's redemption and the fulfillment of our salvation. What borders do you find yourself between this Lent? Where in your life are you waiting on God? I invite you to consider those questions and anything that may have emerged as we read this poem together, The Land Between by Flora Tang. And I'll see you on Friday.